Okay. Can everyone see? Hello?
Not,
Not
no,
not
not
your
yet.
stuff. We can just see you.
Oh, uh, hmm. To share. Stop. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Can see.
Okay. Here we go. So we're gonna start. So the topic that I was given, and I have been a vegan 20 plus years, and I have quite a bit of information to provide. I am a physician, so I will definitely share the medical information, but I was specifically told that the environmental impact is one of the major things that I really need to discuss, and that's the reason we are here. So as I've been introduced, I have been in 20 plus years, and I have been recommending to a lot of my patients, not just to prevent and reverse so many diseases, but also help the environment and bring compassion in our day-to-day life. So let's, for the housekeeping, as long as we all understand the vegetarian diet, a lot of us are vegetarian, and we don't eat meat, fish, poultry, etc. But we do consume dairy products, eggs, honey, all those things. But when you become vegan and you consider going vegan, you stay away from animal products altogether. But there are some products which are not animal, and yet they are not healthy, like concentrated carbohydrates, sugary drinks, oils, fried foods, etc. They are still included in a vegan diet. So that's why the new term is the whole food plant-based diet, which includes the whole food plant-based, that only whole grains, leafy vegetables, fruits, nuts, legumes, seeds, etc. But there's no allowance for the salt and oil and sugar, as little as possible. I think we can do better this. I don't know. It's you seeing a lot more information than all this. So I'm seeing everybody's names and everything at the bottom, which I could do without. Anyway, let's move on. So before I start, I would like to explain to you how I approach life. There are 3 steps I follow, which is Shravan, Manan, and Acharan. Shravan is where you listen to all the information. Now, listening is an art because whenever you listen something and then you interject your thoughts, your ideas, somebody's opinions into that, then you're not doing a Shravan. Then you're not doing a Samyak Shravan. Samyak Shravan is where you put everything away and just listen and gather the information. And after that, then you can do whatever you want to do. You can gather more information. Information you can not necessarily what I speak, but also you can look at the documentaries. Internet is full of information on animal-based food. So you can gather information in the book, from the books or literature, whatever. And then the most important step I go through is Manan. Samyak Manan is very impartial discussion. impartial mental dialogue that you have to go through. What is right? What is wrong? And all this information ultimately will stabilize that one particular opinion in your mind, and that will become the acharan. So that's how I went through all these processes before I became vegan. I'm a self-evolved vegan that really was time consuming, but it was worth it. And when I decided to go vegan, it was my final decision. So that brings you to a story of a lion. This is how I look at life. I learned a lot from life. And one time in August of 2001, I was doing a safari in Kruger National Park with my son and my family. Suddenly we saw a lion, and the lion was suddenly got up and started running after an animal called warthog. And the warthog kept running and running and running, and the lion could not catch it. It ran away. It was running for its life. The lion came back. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening, and the sun was shining at an angle on its body, and it was glowing like gold, and every single muscle, you can count on them. And here I was sitting in a 4x4, just munching on things and just looking at the whole scene. But then suddenly I realized, how come animals are so handsome looking, are so fit, and how come I'm not? How come we are not as a society? How come we are not? So all those things started bothering me. And then suddenly I started going into deep pondering as far as why this thing is happening. So I asked myself that question. So why am I not so fit, physically fit? So I realized that there is a big difference between a jungle life and a human society life. Jungle life has no choices. Lion has no choice what to eat and what not to eat. It is what it is. So he doesn't have any choice versus human society. We have thousands and thousands of choices. And when you have choices, you make a wrong choice because there are two choices. Now, in the jungle, if you go for a hunting, there is no other choice. Like if he has to, the lion has to stay fit, first of all. The day lion cannot hunt, he dies. Simple as that. There are no special places he can just go and pick up a piece of meat from ShopRite or something like that. So he's living a choiceless life, which is not so bad. At least it's a life. So I suddenly started realizing that jungle-based lifestyle has to be one of the healthiest lifestyle. And that includes not just the food choices, but also exercise and remaining fit. And this fitness started affecting me. And that's why I started getting into running and all that. Then I started thinking, what would I eat in a jungle? If I woke up, came out of my cave, there is no refrigerators or no pantry full of foods or nothing like that. What do I do? So I have to walk 5 miles. Suddenly I find a fruit tree and the fruits are up there. I cannot climb. If I climb, I have to climb. Then I throw the stones and then I get a raw apple. What do? Eat it because I'm so hungry. So there is a balance between hunger and the food in the jungle. So I started leaning more and more towards the healthy lifestyle. And I ended up losing 20 some pounds and started running running marathons and all that. So the question also came up to me, what about milk? Because the milk is also part of our diet. And as we were going further up, we suddenly saw this wild cow and was looking at me with very menacing eyes. And I realized that there is no way I can go and milk this cow because it's not natural to milk the cows in the forest. Nobody milks cows. So that made me realize that our society has created such a weird, twisted, artificial lifestyle that we all are living. And the result is tons of diseases, obesity, high blood pressure, cholesterol, cancers, whatnot. And as a physician, I could understand all those things, the lack of exercise and all that. So that day I decided not only I will be on a whole food plant-based diet, but I will stop the dairy also. That day I decided to go vegan. Even Krishna says in Gita, do sattvic ahar, sattvic vichar, and sattvic acharan. And I give you guarantee of 100 years of life. But how many people understand what is sattva? My interest happens to be in spirituality. I could understand all these things. Sattva means purity. Purity means like whatever is created by the nature is pure. And when the man interferes, that sattva is gone. A child is born, is sattvic, is innocent. As he grows older, he loses his sattva, his purity is gone. People living in villages are sattvic, but when they come to the cities, they have to become twisted to make more money and interact with people, interact with life, and they become a sattvic. So sattvic ahar, sattvic vichar, and sattvic acharan, Krishna is giving a guarantee of 100 years. So that's when I realized the sattva is what is grown by the nature. One of the marathons that I ran was in New York. In New York Marathon, they have New York Roadrunner Club, and they used to send me a lot of emails. And one of the emails really caught my attention. It said that you're not just running a marathon, you're a marathoner. You have to live your life like a marathoner. That really appealed me because one of the things they mention is eat the foods without labels. How come there are no labels on apples, carrots, cucumbers? Because they are made by nature, the God, whatever you call. You bring the apple home and you put tons of all this sugar and salt and oil and all that, make an apple pie, sattva is gone. So that really made me start going towards the whole food plant-based diet. So sattvic food of Krishna is nothing different than whole food plant-based diet that I'm here to talk about. And yet the reality is the world keeps running after all asattvic foods. Milk, cheese, butter, yogurt, ghee, all those things are always there. Sweets are there. Sweets are more and more sweets. All those things people are running after. And we have no idea what it is actually doing to us and to the environment. So that's why I'm here to bring you more awareness. Behind our choices, we are creating a monster. So we will go to the environmental effects of the animal foods. Before I go, one of the famous statement from Jiddu Krishnamurti really affected me. And he said that freedom to choose is a great freedom to have. Like we were controlled by British, so was America, and we became free from them. So then we can make our own choices. It's a great freedom. But freedom from your choices is the ultimate freedom. We are still guided by the choices. Our choices control us. I ask my patients, I have carrot and carrot cake. What would you want? Come on, doc, give me carrot cake. Apple and apple pie. Give me apple pie. Our choices are controlling us. And this is where the suffering comes up. That's why we cannot change our behavior. So I'm going to share some of the environmental effect of the animal industry. This is the sad situation. This is a very sad situation of the, I'm getting echoes. Everybody can mute their microphones will be good. So this is a sad story. Look at the biomass. By calculation, scientists have realized that the 630 million tons are occupied by the domesticated animals versus humans are 390 million tons. But look at the wild mammals, only 60 million tons. 60 million tons. Wild animals are giving way to the domesticated animals, which are growing by the hour because we have desires for their products. Our products have created these industries, and these industries are decimating the environment. If you look at the more distribution of the livestock, on the right are all livestock. And majority of that is, of course, cattle, but then also other pigs and sheep and all these domesticated animals, as well as pets. On the left is the human, but look at the tiny 4% population is only wild mammals. We are pushing them away into extinction. What is happening is mass extinction. We are facing number 6. So far, 5 times this has happened, but all by natural causes. And normally mass extinction is defined by loss of more than 75% of the species, and sometimes up to 90% of the species. But it happened over, say, 1 million years. But this is happening in decades. and we are responsible for it. Our desires are responsible for it. Our lack of awareness is responsible for it. Let me explain how the animal industry affects the environment. This is called Rule of 10. This I studied with my son in 8th grade biology textbook. I was sitting down with him, studying the biology textbook, and suddenly something came up. And my son is 41 now. So many years, this rule has been known by so many scientists all over the world. This rule of 10 applies to the whole earth itself. And the scientists have realized that whenever two organisms want to crisscross, exchange the calories, only 10% of the calories they can exchange. And this is an unwritten rule anywhere, but a lot of has been talked about, and this rule has been known in the scientific world for decades, and yet nobody does anything about it. So how that applies, for example, if a chicken wants to eat wheat, now a plant of wheat, its roots are useless, its stalk, the branches are useless, its leaves are useless, flowers are useless. So chicken can eat only the wheat grains, which occupies 10% of the calorie. So the plant of the wheat holds on to 90% of its calorie for its own consumption, for its own use. It only shares 10%. And this is a rule observed in any species, anywhere on the earth. So now what happens though? So a chicken cannot survive on one plant because it's getting only 10% calories. So chicken has to have 10 plants to survive. This is a scientific calculation. But supposing you go further up and a fox wants to eat a chicken. Chicken's feathers are no good, chicken bones are no good, chicken's hooves are no good, chicken beak is no good. All that takes away 90%. The meat of the chicken is only 10%. So naturally, a fox cannot survive on one chicken. Fox needs 10 chickens. But indirectly, what it is doing is each chicken had consumed 10 plants of wheat. So fox indirectly is consuming 100 plants of the wheat. It's surviving indirectly. And the same thing happens to the lion. Lion needs 10 foxes, 100 chickens, and 1,000 plants of wheat. That's why lions need big territories to survive. So look at the practical scenario. Chickens are vegetarian or vegan, literally, because they don't consume any in a natural settings. They don't consume any animal products. So they can suffice with only 10 plants of wheat. But people who are consuming animal products are the foxes. A fox is consuming 10 times the land. And forget about the lion. It needs very big territory for survival. So there are so many applications. So that means, and the book said that if everybody became vegetarian, and that was, the vegan word was not even coined at that time. This is, we're talking about 30 years back, 30 plus. So they said that if everybody became vegetarian, we will need only 10% of the farmland. The 90% of the farmland, what do? They grow the food to feed the chickens or domesticated animals or the cows, and then we eat them. So there is tremendous loss of land. And where does the farmland comes from? From the forest. Forests are destroyed every single day to make a room for growing the food for the animals. This is one of the major things that has created havoc in this world. Also look at from medical point of view. If there are chemicals, and where chemicals are not, there are chemicals everywhere. 10 plants worth of chemicals will go into vegan people, and they will stay in their body. They will be exposed to only 10 plants worth of chemicals. But foxes are exposed to 100 plants worth of chemicals. So there is an increase of chemicals also lead to increased chances of cancer and a lot of other side effects that we don't even know. So higher you go on a food chain, you are paying a high price for your own health and definitely for the environment. Let's look at the example of bald eagles. I don't know if many people know about it, but at one time, the bald eagles were going to become extinct. And this is our national bird. What happened to them? The DDT happened to them. The DDT was a pesticide which was being routinely used to get better crops. They were killing the insects and parasites and everything. So the DDT was sprayed on the crops on a regular basis. And then this DDT will run off into the small streams, and then becomes the rivers, and rivers ultimately drains to the ocean. In the ocean, the small fish will drink that, the bigger fish will eat the smaller fish as it keeps on hierarchy, and bald eagles were highest on the food chain. So what will happen is the DDT will accumulate on their eggshells, and that would make the eggshells very soft. So before the babies had a chance to hatch, they will break and the babies will die. So they were losing babies right and left. The research showed that it's the DDT that's doing it. So the DDT was banned. I think in India still they're using it, but that's besides the point. So DDT was stopped, and now bald eagles are coming back. Actually, statistics have seen that there are more bald eagles in US right now than even when the pilgrims walked into USA. So that's a success story. This again represents the same thing as you go on a food chain. Fish eating birds were the higher on a food chain. So they were paying the big price. So I'm going to talk about a few things. The beef, I know a lot of people may not be consuming beef, but beef has a tremendous impact on us directly or indirectly. And there is a reason why, and I'll explain to you. There are 5 countries which are the highest beef exporters in the world, and India has a notorious spot, number 5 in the world. And yet, we know we don't consume beef for our religious reasons, but we are one of the major exporters of beef in the world, which is a sad thing. And the reason is, and if you really look at it, the irony of the thing is that we don't even consume beef. If you look at the map, the Europe, China, Americas, South Americas, they are very heavy consumers of the beef. And we are one of the least consumers of the beef. Then why are we exporting so much beef? Because we are addicted to milk. India is one of the highest milk producer, not one of the highest, almost 214 million tons of milk every year. And look at the number to United States, less than half. So we are really going crazy on milk and milk products. And this is the reason why there is an epidemic of heart disease, diabetes, and so many diseases and cancers in India, and nobody is paying attention to it. And I'll get into that later. So if you look at it, same thing. India is the highest consumption is in India. Second is China, then USA, Brazil, etc. The animal industry is responsible for 15% of the greenhouse gases, 15 to 18%. And actually, it's more than the whole automobile industry all over the world. Whatever greenhouse gases it produces, animal industry produces even more greenhouse gases than them. If you look at the cropland that is being used, 4.13 billion from the current global diet, it needs 4.13 billion hectares of the land all over the world. If theoretically, if the world went vegan today, it will need only 1 billion hectares. Look at it, only 75% less than what we are consuming now. And what will happen to those 75% land? Will turn into forests. Forests will support more wildlife, more biodiversity, and the greenhouse gases will be gone because the leaves sequesters a lot of carbon dioxide. Another statistic is very interesting. In US alone, if all the beef was replaced with a whole food plant-based diet, the amount of croplands which are being used right now will go down 90%. Carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases will go down by 96%, and nitrogen fertilizer use will go down by almost 40%. We will be living in a better environment and more healthy way. So animal agriculture is responsible, like I said, 15 to 18% of the greenhouse gases, more than transportation gas emissions. But animal-based foods produce double the greenhouse gases than plant-based foods. The grains which are fed to the US domesticated animals could feed close to 1 billion people. Staggering statistics. If you really, this is another stupidity of humankind. The crops which are grown for the farmed animals, they take away 1/3 of the global crop production. And yet they themselves provide only 12% of those calories become human food. So it's a very expensive proposition by consuming animal products, animal meats and products, everything. So 1/3 of the crops goes to them, but we get only 1/8 of the calories, which is really shameful. So deforestation, 80% of the global deforestation is caused by animal agriculture. 16.4 million trees per year are cut off. They are felled just to support the cropland, to make cropland for animals. Wildlife are lost because every time the forest is destroyed, all the animals, they start losing their habitat. Where they imagine you are living in your house and suddenly you come at home in the evening and your house is gone. It is their home, but no one seems to care. Imagine what will happen to you when you come home and you don't find your home. There is a lot of biodiversity is sacrificed because the wide forest supports the biodiversity. New species get created over millions of years. It takes for the new species to be created, but all they get destroyed. And then now because the forests are getting smaller, there is more competition among the animals to survive. And the predators become a food to the predators very easily because now there is less land that they can escape to. And because they're more proximal to each other, more diseases get exchanged and they die of diseases too. Beef production alone has caused 5 times more deforestation than any other food, any other sector. This is really eye-opening. Now look at the strange thing. If 1 pound of protein is needed, beef needs 1,847 gallons of water. Water is another essential part of the environment, which is going to be more and more important as years pass by with the global warming. 1,847 gallons are needed to produce 1 pound of beef, 1 pound of protein that's coming from beef. But look at tofu, only 303 gallons. Look at the lentils, which we can easily consume and gives you beautiful amount of protein, 501 gallons. If you look at the soy production, because majority of there is a corn which is carbohydrate, which are fed to the animals, but the soy is one of the main thing because it's high in protein. But 76% of the soy produced goes to the animals. And where are they produced? In Amazon rainforest get destroyed so that we can consume the dairy products and eat meat and beef. So every day, almost every minute, a football size of rainforest is being destroyed just because of our desire for animal and animal products. So now I'm going to come to dairy, which is the most essential component of our life. So in last 30 years, 77% increase has happened in the milk production. Total milk produce is 930 million tons in 2022. And the highest producer, as we discussed, is India. US is number 2, which is only less than half or almost half, 12%. Greenhouse gases have gone up 25% in last 20 years. Each cow produces 17 gallons of manure and urine every day. In US alone, dairy consumption is 653 pounds per year. Milk consumption has gone down, but cheese has gone up by 30%. I mean, who drinks milk for milk purpose? It used to be in those days, oh, glass of milk is good for you. Nobody does it for health reasons. They're doing for taste buds. The number of dairy cows is 270 million cows all over. Even when it comes to milk, to create 1 gallon of milk, 144 gallons of water is needed. And per cow, 100 pounds of feed are required every day to feed them. Now, next is very strange. The cropland, if you go by percentages in USA, uses about 124 million acres, which is about 41% of the total land of USA. But if you look at the global, the percentages are skewed. 77% of the global farming land is used for animal purpose. Why? Because USA imports, being it's a rich country, it imports beef from so many other third world countries. One of them, of course, India, and then Argentina, Brazil. They all destroy their own lands for the insatiable desire of beef and dairy products of USA. So a lot of countries are suffering because of our bad habits. Can you block your microphone, please? So the greenhouse gases, one of the major, of course, is carbon dioxide, no question about it. But methane is one of the worst gas coming out of the cows because they produce about 264 pounds every day, which is 28 times more potent than carbon dioxide. And it comes from belching and putting out the gas from the rear. That produces methane because they are ruminant. They keep on ruminating on their food, and that creates a lot of gas. And cow dung is a producer of the nitrous oxide, which is 298 times more potent than that of carbon dioxide. You go to India, and cow dungs are everywhere. So there is major contribution from us into the global warming. And of course, deforestation we talked about. One of the major effects that happens is also soil erosion. When the cattle grazes repeatedly on the grasslands, ultimately it starts losing its organic structure, and it starts eroding, and that turns into desertification. Now deserts are expanding all over the world. Another thing it can do is the fertilizers which are given at the feed. When the feed is grown for the animals, these fertilizers run off, and they run off ultimately end up in oceans. If you know, in Florida and a couple of other places, there was a toxic algae bloom. It's not a natural event. It is the fertilizers going in, and they're causing because algae are overfed from the fertilizers, and they bloom profusely at the cost of so many animals. And of course, it is toxic to the humans. Now, this is one of the worst outcome of the animal industry. If you look at the picture, it's a lagoon. And you may say that it's a beautiful looking lagoon, but think again, there is nothing, not even a word of beauty can come to this. The reason is this is not a lagoon, but it's just a fancy name is given to that because this is a pond created for the manure and urine and all the output of the animal industry that comes, and it is stored in the lagoons like that. If you go to North Carolina, if you're flying over North Carolina, you will notice the lagoons are millions over there because every animal industry will need a lagoon to pass on because it's not really easy to drain it all the way to the ocean. So they have these lagoons. These lagoons are about 5 to 6 feet deep, and so they occupy a lot of land. And all the output from the animals, their waste, their manure, their water, urine, everything comes in and gets collected over there. And they let it open to the environment, the nature. And this is, some scientists have called them cesspools of shame, because this is something you will never see when you go to Costco to buy the dairy products, and you will never see any of these things. They are not seen around here anywhere. They are hidden in the distant places where you can never get exposed to this. Because the problems with lagoons is, one, it causes algae to bloom because of this fertilizers, which we said, and it a lot of times when there is a hurricane or anything, heavy rain comes, there is a run over. The overflow happens and it goes into the aquatic ecosystem. And in that, it creates dead zone. Dead zone means algae competes with everything, and all the small aquatic animals like birds, the aquatic birds and the fish and turtles, all those get affected and they disappear. So it creates dead zones. There are a lot of bacteria growing in lagoons, which is expected because it's all filled with manure and urine. So E. coli, Salmonella, Listeria, those are very commonly found there. Growth hormones. Animals are injected with growth hormones so that they produce more milk. But where do these hormones go? Ultimately, they end up in these cesspools. And they are also given antibiotics. Why animals are given antibiotics? Because in the old days, the animals were left open. They're wide. They were free to roam. Nowadays, none of those things happen. In a small room, 5 cows will be loaded together, and they are all stacked up next to each. Now, when they're close to each other, they cross over the infections. So that infections do not happen, they load them up with antibiotics beforehand, not afterhand. So antibiotics are used routinely, given to the animals to prevent infections. So what will happen when you go to the doctor? Same antibiotics are given to you. When you get sick, these antibiotics already know how to fight those bacteria. So when it comes in your body, they don't work. That's why antibiotic resistance is becoming a major problem in medical community. Also, there are in this cesspool, there are chemical additives, heavy metals, manure, of course, animal blood. Animal industry is not really a pious industry. There is a lot of cutting and all those things takes place, a lot of harassments, a lot of death, massacres, all this happens. The animals have to be culled. All this produces a lot of animal blood. Where does it go? Into these beautiful looking lagoons. And they have naturally obnoxious odors. And there is a lot of loss of manure, nitrogen fertilizer, because fertilizer are overutilized. Nobody knows how much they should use and how much they should not. So all the extra fertilizer ends up over here. It's a significant loss because more nitrogen fertilizer needs to be produced. And of course, such a place will be filled with mosquitoes, and large land, as I said, is required because it's shallow. They have to be kept shallow. And there is methane emission from it. Now, the spilling, like I said, it happens into the groundwater and streams. And the ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, methane, carbon dioxide are the outputs of these lagoons. So it causes air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, biodiversity deterioration, hydrogen sulfide odor, fly breeding. Now, the next things are very, very appealing to us because the community which has been forced to live nearby are the unprivileged communities. They cannot afford expensive homes to stay away from all these things. So they end up buying homes nearby. Studies have shown that these lagoons make them more prone to develop non-Hodgkin lymphomas, leukemias. And they continuously, routinely, they would have runny nose, headache, burning eyes, depression, nausea, diarrhea, fatigue. Once I was watching a documentary about these lagoons, and there was a family, a black family, was the grandson was playing with his mother-in-law, and suddenly he got so excited with a twinkle in his eyes, and he says, Grandma, there is a beautiful, beautiful rainbow there. And grandma said, son, it's not a rainbow. They're spraying the sewage from the animals into the cesspools. It's just the sun is interacting. Don't get excited. What a disastrous life to live. And look at the next one is the worst, lagoon and spray field. The same lagoon, once it settles down after some time, it is sprayed back into the field where the food is grown. That's why you realize that a lot of times there is E. coli and then Listeria. All these things are found and millions of pounds worth of food has to be withdrawn. Where does it come from? Because this cesspool, this lagoons material is sprayed back. Why? To increase the fertilizer. So that they don't have to use so much fertilizer. They use this organic fertilizer back into the land. And that's why sometimes people die, salmonella poisoning, listeria poisoning. And a lot of workers have been known to die just from exposure to all these damaging, health damaging gases. And a lot of workers, as we know, come not necessarily local residents. They come from out of country. And yet we keep on juggling milk and cheese and keep on satisfying our sense organs. And this goes on and has been going on, and there is no limit. We keep going forever. So, but environment is not the only thing. We think that environment is separate, but we are the environment. We live the environment. We inhale oxygen from the environment. We drink water from the environment. Our outflows go back to the environment. So we are not different than environment. We are the environment, or rather, environment is us. And what does it do to us? Let's look into that. Animal foods, milk, cheese, butter, yogurt, all these products, as well as any kind of meat, chicken, beef, fish, everything have a significant impact on humans. It causes metabolic syndrome, which is very high in Indians, hyperlipidemia, high cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, obesity, many cancers, hypertensions, and even neurological diseases like Parkinson's disease, MS, multiple sclerosis has been linked with animal foods. I read a book of Diet for New America, written by John Robbins. Go figure, son of Baskin Robbins. He's vegan. And he wrote this book in 1980s. It was a bestseller. And I read that book, and it was atrocious conditions because he had access, because his father's industry. He walked away from all his money from his father. He says, I don't want any penny of it. But he had access to all these factories. If you read the book and not cry, you are not a human being. Horrible atrocities are being carried out on these animals, and the worst being the pigs, because they are stacked up in the cages after cages, which goes on to several floors, and one pig puts out the effluent, it goes to the next one and next one. It's just horrifying. But in that time, he had predicted that US is going to face a major epidemic of cancer, breast cancer. 1 out of 10 women were getting breast cancer at that time. Now we are facing 1 out of 7 women getting breast cancer, all coming from the animal products. And I will explain to you why. Why are animal foods so bad? Think about it. It's because of the cholesterol. And you will think that what animal has anything to do with cholesterol? I didn't know that either. Most of the physicians will not know. If I ask 100 people, what is cholesterol? Most of the people won't know, including doctors, because there is no nutritional education in medical school, which is very imperative that it should be there, but it's not there. Maybe conveniently removed from the textbooks so that doctors remain ignorant about all these things. I did not know what is cholesterol. I realized that all these things are high in cholesterol, but what is cholesterol? So I asked Dr. Google. Cholesterol is an organic molecule. It's a sterol. It's like a fat. It's a lipid, which is essential structural component of all animal cell membranes. Means every single animal cell has a cell wall made out of cholesterol, including us. Every day we keep making new cells and keep shedding old cells. That's how we get older. If you draw the blood from us, we have cholesterol. Snakes have cholesterol, cows have cholesterol, sheep has cholesterol, fish has cholesterol. Every animal, whole animal industry is created that way. Whole animal organism, the field itself, the animal, all animals are created from cholesterol. If I want to kill someone, I give a medication that will bring the cholesterol to 0, they will die in 1 second because they cannot make new cells, which is essential part of our aging. So all animals are made out of cholesterol. And so it doesn't matter. So what does it mean? That means every time you eat meat, red meat, chicken, fish, lamb, goat, you're eating cholesterol. Every time you drink milk or eat cheese, butter, yogurt, ghee, you're consuming cholesterol. So you are adding cholesterol to your body, which is already self-sustained and making its own cholesterol. Body is wise enough how to make cholesterol. It knows. And yet the irony is, if you look at the labels of all the foods, US government, under the influence of politicians and of course industries, has put down RDA for consuming cholesterol. So this is a recommended daily allowance. Who says that? Nobody says that. Only to protect the animal industry, they say there is RDA for cholesterol. It's absolutely not necessary. I am the proof. 20 some years, I haven't had a single cholesterol piece, any animal product. And I'm perfectly all right. I ran 6 marathons, climbed Kilimanjaro, just came back from Everest Base Camp, all that. Cholesterol is not necessary in our food. So what does it mean? 1 cup of milk has 24 milligrams of cholesterol. Look at this, 1 cup of cheese, 256 milligrams of cholesterol. 10 cups of milk makes 1 cup of cheese. It's eye-opener. Yogurt, same thing. Ghee, also in cholesterol. 1 egg has 187 milligrams of cholesterol. Even fish oil capsules that have been touted, they've been said that, okay, they're beneficial to prevent the heart disease, which has been disproved now. Recently, the article came out, they say it does not prevent the heart disease. But 1 teaspoonful of fish oil contains 104 milligrams of cholesterol. Look how much we are influenced by the industries. But on the other side, plants have 0 cholesterol. Why? Because every cell wall on the plant side is made out of cellulose. Cellulose is fiber, 0 cholesterol. Now you can go and check it out on Google anytime, anywhere. Even I have patients, you would come and say, Doc, at least I know cashews have cholesterol. I know, that's why I'm not eating. I said, you Google it. Do it in your phone right away. 0 cholesterol. There is no cholesterol in any plant-based products. So one of the heart disease is one of the major complications of the high cholesterol, which is a leading cause of death of all in the USA and all over the world. 1 person dies every 36 seconds in US from heart disease. 1 in 4 deaths are from heart disease. Heart disease costs US 219 billion years every year, which is none of that is necessary if we go on a plant-based diet. The incidence of heart disease will be 0. Now, if you look at worldwide, 30% of the people die from heart disease. Of the total mortality, 30% died of a heart attack. But out of those people who died of heart disease, 60% are South Asians. South Asians are not just Indians, but Pakistani, Bangladesh, Philippines, Malaysia, whatever. But we have bad genetic history. And the highest death rate from heart disease in US is South Asians. So that's why there was a special study by Dr. Kanaya. It's called Masala study. It came out of California. Very beautiful study, very important for Indians to know. They found out that Indians, they studied first generation South Asians, and now the study is extending to second and even third generation of the South Asians in this country. There is a high incidence of diabetes, heart disease, obesity. They are not obese, you would say that, but they have central obesity, only the belly fat, and that's enough to kill you. They also have a calcium scoring. The calcium deposition is very high in coronary arteries. And look at the most important, many were vegetarians, but the diet was very high in dairy and very low in fruits and vegetables. Remember the lion. So they put out the recommendations. I'm not going to go into the detail, but one of the most important recommendations they put down is number 4, whole food plant-based diet and increase your activity. Lion is correct again. So milk also has been linked with diabetes. 40% of its calories comes from lactose. What is lactose? Sugar. It's carbohydrate. When you consume milk, it splits up. Lactose splits up into 2, glucose and galactose. Glucose goes into your blood and galactose goes into your liver. At the drop of a hat, galactose can turn into sugar, glucose, whenever it's needed. So there is a close link between milk and diabetes also, which nobody realizes. Milk also is notorious because animal industry is one of the most corrupted industries. They inject a lot of hormones to the cows, but forget about injecting the hormones. Think, milk is produced by mothers for their babies. It's not like apple. You don't have any connection with the apple tree. The tree doesn't care who eats their apple, but mother does. Mother's milk contains 9 hormones, natural hormones, which you cannot even take them out. One of those hormones is called IGF-1. insulin-like growth factor. And what it does, it goes into the calf's body and stimulates its sex organs. Like if there is a female calf, it has to become a cow, and a male calf has to become a bull. So it will go, it is a neutral hormone, but goes in the body and stimulate those sex hormones. But it is necessary for them to grow. But what about us? We are fully grown. Our sex centers are already stimulated. Why do we need that? That IGF-1 through the milk comes into our body and stimulates. There is an overstimulation of our sex hormones. That's why there is so much precocious puberty. In India, when I was there, 14, to get initial periods at the age of 14 was pretty much normal. Here, 8, 9-year-old girls sometimes get pregnant. There was reports, 9-year-old girl was found to be pregnant. So precocious puberty is because of the over estrogen exposure. And of course, estrogen stimulates all the sex organs, breast cancer, cervical cancers, uterine cancer, uterine fibroids, which is very common in Indian population, and prostate cancer in men. There is 11% increased chance of prostate cancer if you consume dairy products regularly. Diethylstilbestrol was one of the notorious hormone-like chemical being injected to the cows routinely. And they found out ultimately that it causes breast cancer, so it has been banned. But America is smart, and industries are smart. What they do is they tweak the molecule. Instead of diethyl, they will say triethyl or tetraethyl, whatever. They will tweak the molecule, and now the next study will take another 20 years to figure out whether that causes a breast cancer or not. Meanwhile, we are suffering. It used to be 1 out of 10 women. Now 1 out of 7 women are getting breast cancer. Prostate cancer is on the rise. So recently, a study came out from Stanford and UC Berkeley. They say phasing out animal agriculture represents our best and the most immediate chance to reverse the trajectory of the climate change. Now, I can go on forever, but I really, with the time constraint, I would recommend you, watch some documentaries. They are very good documentaries. Some of them are made by Mr. Shailesh Rao. I met them personally, very genuinely humble guy. And he was in IT industry and he sold his company and he created this couple of, at least I know, What the Health, Cowspiracy, Game Changers. Game Changers was made by the guy who made the Avatar. So Forks Over Knives is one of the very good documentaries, and Seaspiracy for the animal foods, I mean, in the ocean foods. And Maa Ka Doodh is something you really should watch because it came out of India. And I met Dr. Harsha personally, and he was a doctor like me. And he realized that there is so much going on behind this milk industry. So he actually gave up his practice. And he traveled all over India, and he created this fascinating documentary. So I would highly recommend. It's freely available on YouTube, and watch that. So I'm going to give you one slok from Bhagavad Gita, because I know people always say that, Krishna used to consume the dairy and milk and yogurt and all that. He says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. This is what I need from you. He's telling Arjun. Now, when he was young and consuming dairy products, he was not the same Krishna. But when he was delivering Gita, he was in the highest state of consciousness. And this is what he spoke in Gita. Whoever with a loving devotion offers me a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water. Does that go back to the same equation, what Lion taught me? Then I will accept it very happily. It does not say meat, does not say dairy products. Mahavir said the same thing. And this is a very fantastic statement of Mahavir. One should not injure, subjugate, enslave, torture, or kill any living beings, including animals, living organisms, or sentient beings. This doctrine of non-violence, ahimsa, is immaculate, immutable, and eternal. 10,000 years later, this will be still true. And it's definitely more so true now than ever. So there are so many diets we can talk about, but all those diets only help you lose weight. DASH diet, Mediterranean diet, South Beach diet, keto diet, paleo diet. But whole food plant-based diet not only will help you lose weight, but also will teach you compassion. You can practice compassion on every meal that you eat. My last question is, why don't we stop consuming milk of someone else's mother? Even the cow's own baby does not drink its own mother's milk after 6 months. We stop drinking our own mother's milk after 6 months, a year. Why are we drinking someone else's milk for the rest of our life? It's totally unphysiological and is bringing the earth to an extinction almost. If you want to do seva, this is the seva you can do at every meal. Well, Eldridge Cleaver says, if you are not part of a solution, you're part of the problem. So change the sides. Go on a whole food, plant-based diet. I'll take questions. Thank you.
Dr. Shah,
Yes,
a very eye-opening talk, but very sad talk.
I see.
It's very, very sad.
It's
But a
only going
question,
to get more sad. As the time goes, our children, our grandchildren are going to see worse days than what we have seen now if we don't change.
question I have for you is then what is the substitute for milk? I mean, milk provides all kind of things. So what do we do to replace milk?
There are so many milks available, plant-based milks. There is almond milk, soy milk. If you're really comparing protein to protein, soy milk gives you a good amount of protein. 1 glass of milk has 8 grams of protein. 1 glass of there is soy milk, of course, and there is also another milk called Ripple, which made from peas, again gives you 8 grams of protein, same equivalent as milk, and no hormones.
Okay. Do you have any reference where they basically tell how to make, for instance, if you want to make soy milk or Ripple milk, can you make it at home? Because if you buy from outside, once again, they will put preservatives in it and so on and so forth.
Yes, yes, definitely. You can join our group. We have a group in WhatsApp from World Vegan Vision, and they have continuously all these recipes are being exchanged. If you request, we can put you in the group. And there is one Kalindi Bakshi. She's a recipe queen. So in that she comes, and she answers all the questions as needed. Definitely, no question about it. Yes, I am more on a raw food diet like you. I'm on a jungle diet. I eat only 80% raw food. All morning, I eat only avocados, edamames, fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, all those things. And throughout the day, I have salads with, again, seeds and all that, and on some kind of beans. All those things. So basically, 80% of my diet is raw food and 1 meal home-cooked food with no oil, of course, but very little salt and sugar if necessary. That's all.
So you said most of the cholesterol comes from the animals. So
Not more.
why do the vegetarian people have high cholesterol? Even, I mean, some of the people who don't take dairy products and stuff, they are really vegan basically, but they have high cholesterol also.
Sometimes you could have a familial also history. So sometimes it's called familial hyperlipidemia. So if it runs in your family, no matter whether you change your diet or not, it will not work. In that cases, they need to take medications. No choice.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shah. It was, as Kuldeep ji said, it was very eye-opening.
Thank you.
And hopefully this will help others to change their diet habits and the lifestyle.
Yes.
And one person at a time makes a difference.
One thing I can tell you, do you know the word of health in Sanskrit is swasthya, right? Not many people know the meaning of it. Whoever gets settled in swa, sthir, becomes sthir, connected with the soul, is swasthya. Then what follows after that? In West, if you ask somebody, doctor, say, what is health? No one can tell you. Oh, health means you don't have disease. It's a negative statement. When you have no diseases, you are healthy. But swasthya gives a positive impact. You connect with your soul. Soul is where there are no desires. Soul comes beyond the mind. Well, all these desires, the choices, the wrong choices we're making are at the mind level. When you transcend it and settle down in swa is your soul. That's when what you get is what Krishna promised, swasthya, 100 years of healthy lifestyle. So choices are very important. When there are two choices, you always make wrong choices. There's a beautiful slok in Katha Upanishad when the Nachiket asks Yamraj. He says, how do you select your victims? How do you decide who should die and who should not? And this is where this Shreyascha Prayascha Manushyan Etaha. So he says, man will have two choices, good and pleasant. Good will not be pleasant, and pleasant will not be good. Whoever keeps seeking pleasant becomes my victim. And the evidence is everywhere. It's pathetic. A lot of people are dying in 30s and 40s just from heart attacks for no reason. And the families become, unsupported and sad. It's very sad. I had so many patients that I got to history. And in India, I have seen this, a lot of people dying young. And nobody's thinking about it. Diabetes has become like a routine thing. Take a couple of more medications, but keep eating. There is just some kind of curtain has gone over our intellect. That's why Murari Bapu says there is a lot of buddhi, but no shuddhi. There is no clarity of the vision. So that's why I'm here to open up the eyes of people. So let's see, hopefully.
Dr. Shah, I have a comment about this beef export from Bharat.
Yes.
And Dr. Sitaram, the finance minister, she said we do not export any beef. We export buffalo. So is buffalo also counted as beef?
They're all to me, they're all animals. So it really doesn't matter. And they both hurt you regardless. I mean, this is all just political convenience. Of course, cows are being considered sacred. In the old days when our grain production was very poor, India was very poor, the cows were very vital for our children's survival. So we used to give them 50% will go to the calf, 50% will go to our children. That's how children survive, and we went by. That's the reason we respect cows, no question about it. But there are no cows being used anymore. Now there are tractors all over. Machines are used everywhere. There is no need for the cows. We should let them go. If you really we call them mother, let the mother retire. So it's a convenience, and now we export buffalo. So what's the big deal? The environmental damage and health damage is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Shah, you suggested plant-based diet.
Yes.
Is there any reference or anything like the links or anything so that we can?
Yeah, you can go on our site, worldveganvision.org. There are also a lot of things available. Links are available over there too. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And whoever wants to join the a WhatsApp group, let me know, and then I can have them contact, because I am not good in recipes because I eat raw food mostly. So, but Kalindi can help a lot, and there are a lot of other people who are interested. They're heavily vegan, and they can offer help, no question about it. But it is doable. All kind of milks are available. Cashew cheese is available. You name it, everything is available. So it's only a matter of putting your mind to it. And out of the vegan food, it's the healthy vegan, like I said, is more important, because they found out, because there was a study that was done on 200,000 people, and they divided 100,000 in each group. So one group was eating everything. The another group was no animal food. Their heart disease risk went down by 12%. But in that group, they divided into two, healthy vegan and unhealthy vegan. Healthy vegan will be whole grains, fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, cereals, only whole grain cereals like that. But the other one was allowed to have oil and sugar and salt and whatever they like. Bread is, you can have it. Soda, you can have it, no problem. That group went up 10%. But the one which was healthy vegan went down another 7%. So even if you go vegan, does not mean that you're going to be eating healthy food. So it has to be healthy vegan diet. So that's where we have to put more effect on more raw food than anything else, or minimally cooked. Let's put it this way. So that way and definitely oils are not good. And so Indians have a very high risk because of that metabolic syndrome. They have a central body fat, in the belly fat. It's around those organs, the pancreas and stomach and all those things. That is been linked with the heart disease heavily. So we really need to wake up big time, But if you get into exercise and change the diet, and a lot of benefits, And then you can enjoy your life, a healthy life, not just live longer, but healthy life. Right now, I still do. I'm close to 69, 70. So I still put out 30, 35 miles a week. I go for a hike every day, retired. So, so I just came back from Everest Base Camp, like I said, 17,600. So all these things are possible, but you can start with one meal at a time. I tell my patients, I said, just start with one meal. Do it for 3 weeks. Like Mahavir Swami says, every 21 days you make a change, then let your body get used to it. So you can start with the breakfast for 3 weeks, and then change the lunch, and then finally dinner. Eating out is one of the worst thing to do, of course, but again, it's a change of lifestyle. But for me, it helped a lot because I was into meditation and spirituality. So meditation actually takes you further down and starts helping you make the right choices. Like this Shreyascha Prayascha Manushyam Heta. That was when I was preparing for marathons. I said, running at 5 o'clock in the morning and hitting the road in 0 degrees, it's not fun. So it's not pleasant, but it's good. But going back to the bed, going the comforter just like anybody else is pleasant, but it's not good. So I will do what is good for me. That's all. So I'll just go. Little by little, I started getting into running and enjoying the morning vibrations. Brahma Muhurat, I started meditating. All those things, it changed my life. So our life is in our hands. Nobody should dictate our lives. The friend circles or all those things, all those people should have no right to change our life. We need to be in control of our life. It wasn't easy because like this was like 20 plus years back. The word veganism was hardly coming out, and it was tough to go to any place, but I stayed firm. I said, it is what it is. If you don't make the vegan food, I won't eat, no problem. I'm not forcing you. Then little by little people start changing. Friends are still not vegan, but that doesn't mean anything. But for me, vegan food will be always there. So you have to stay steady on your path. That's the way to be healthy, you know. But whole food plant-based diet is the best diet. It's a beautiful diet. It's full of fiber. It gives you good bowel movement. Fibers also absorb the acid, so there is no incidence of acidity and things like that. Also, the fiber is rough, so it rubs against the inner lining of your intestines, and it scrapes out all the dying cells which are coming in the front, and it brings healthy cells in the front, and it works like a sponge. It holds on to these cells, and when the bowel movement comes, it takes it out. So that's why if you look at the Quaker oats, they say it reduces cholesterol by 15%. This is how it does. The roughage is good for you. We are supposed to eat almost up to 55 grams of roughage every day, but most of the people hardly eat 10 to 15 grams. And of course, milk and all that have zero fiber. All animal foods have zero fiber because they are not plants. Only plant-based diet has fiber. And fibers can reduce the incidence of cancer because of those healthy cells coming in the front. They have more genes which can fight the cancer. So that's why animal foods have been linked very heavily with the colon cancer and intestinal cancers and all that. But plant-based diet has been known to reduce the incidence of cancers. So it's really, really important for the environment, for our own life. And then successive, once you change, people around you change. I started running marathon, my secretary started running marathon, some representatives started running marathon, and my son is very active, my grandchildren are heavily active. Like that, you spread, positivity spreads. So just have to make up your mind and do it, that's all. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Shan. We're looking forward to seeing you again on 14th.
Yeah.
And everybody who is on this call, you can get more information and more question and answers on anything also
Time,
with Dr. Shan on 14th.
I talked to Nitin Bhai. I think it worked out that there's gonna be a change of schedule. I am kind of busy this on the 14th, but going for an outing. But Kalindi is coming, so all the questions, Kalindi will be there. So it's a
Okay.
perfect combination between me and her. So you can ask all your questions to her. So that will
Okay.
she will be a big help.
Okay. Thank you, Shah. Please share the details, the name and the details, so that we'll make sure
Sure,
that
yeah. Nitin Bhai will take care of that. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
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 All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Namaste,
much. Thank
Dr.
you,
Shah.
everybody.
Namaste,
Yeah,
everybody.
okay.
Take care.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Namaste, everybody. Okay, thank you.